Welcome to an episode of the Create Your Vibrant Life podcast. Today is by far one of my most special episodes ever because I have my one and only business coach, Sara Drury. So I am a big proponent of investing in yourself and investing in your business and investing in Sara. I've invested in a lot of different coaches and therapists over the years, but I tell you, Miss Sara, I don't even want to call you Miss. You are truly a magical person. Like you have helped me so much with not just my business, but like how I've thought about things and like everything I'm doing right now. I have to say, I owe it to you.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yes,
You're making me blush, first of all. Second of all, no, you are the one that does the work, and you have so much magic. And that, I think, to me is maybe one of the things that I love most about what I do and about working with such incredible people is all I'm doing is showing you how amazing and magical you are. That's what I do.
Oh my God. I'm laughing because the amount of messages I leave Sara is not even funny. Like I'd be like, we'll talk about, I just want to talk about this. And then I want to really dive into what you do and tell us more about this. It's really funny because you and I will talk, and then we'll talk about what to implement. And then I'll implement. And then the next message is like, okay, I jumped off the ship. I don't know how to swim. Where's my life raft? I don't have anything. What do I do next? And you're like, no, you have the life raft. You do know how to swim. I'm just going to remind you, you do know how to swim.
Exactly. And I think that's the beautiful thing about having support too, is that it really just, this is the thing is like at every level, every level has its own unique challenges and kind of comes with its own level of work that has to be done, kind of a unique, part of up leveling always has a unique aspect to it of how we kind of go to that next level. And I think it's really interesting because I work with 6-figure business owners, and then I work with 7-figure business owners as well. And this is kind of what is so fascinating is, again, every level has an up, like a kind of like a limit. And then we just like move through that limit, and then we go to the next level. And that's what's fascinating is it's like, you've even said a couple times, like, yeah, I do know this, but it's like I get amnesia for a second. And then you remind me and I'm like, oh yeah, I already know that. And that's part of it is like, I think when we get to a place where we're going so quickly to the next level and the next level and the next level, is we kind of hit these points where we do, it's almost like it's like our subconscious comes in and it's like, no, you've never been there before. So maybe it's completely different, and it feels completely different to the subconscious mind and to the, there's a part of you that feels, not you specifically, but all of us, that feels like maybe I can't do this at this level because I've mastered this level back here. But if I'm going to the next level, maybe I don't know how to do it. And it's really important to have at every level someone come in and be like, shut up. Yes, you do. You know exactly what you're doing. In a very kind way, but
but you also have given me tools. So let's talk, because you've helped me, and that means I want you to share with everybody like how you help go from where they are to the next level when they do have that amnesia of like, I don't know, but you've given me some very specific tools as well to help with that. Can you share more about how you do this work?
Yeah. So, okay, I'll share anything and everything. I'm an open book, but I want to actually back up and say to you, and this would be like maybe a good jumping off point, is like, of all of the tools and all of the things that we've kind of worked on, what would you say is
Yeah.
the most helpful? And then we'll kind of jump off from there.
So many, many tools. One of the things you've always reminded me of is like how our words are very powerful. I do know that, but like there's something like about having that reminder over and over again, because when I say, I don't know, where's my life raft? What you've told me is like, no, watch that languaging right there. And so these are like more the smaller technical tools, but but I wanted to highlight that because you really showed me a few different things. One is with the back end, like the background of like, okay, how are words important? What are you telling yourself? And then the pieces about the hypnosis and the subconscious reprogramming that you've really given me some very specific tools for me specifically, for each person. That's what you do. I love that. The other pieces you've also helped me with is like, you do know the business so well.
Yeah.
And you actually know, like, okay, let's do this. Let's try this. Let's like different, you know what I'm talking about. Let's do this offering. Let's like you're very good at what you do. You have a sense of each person's business. So you help them specifically hone in on how to make their magic shine.
Ah, well, thank you. I love that. Okay, so to kind of like pull this apart and then elaborate on it, I think part of it is that what you're talking about with the words are spells is that we all have, again, just at every level, and every single one of us, including myself, we all have just ways that we move through the world and these little blind spots that unless somebody is talking to you day in and day out, they go unnoticed. They just kind of sit there in the background, even though, and this is what's so important about, having support, is that even though you know it, you know this work, you know that words are spells, you know all of that, and so do I. And yet each of us all have little insidious little aspects that it just like pops up. So to have somebody kind of mirror that back to you and be like, "Ooh, did you notice this? Oh, did you notice that?" And then we can really flip it and reframe it and very quickly let it go. So that's one aspect of it. And so what I do, I call it the business magic method. And what's really great about it is that it really does work for somebody at every level. It's really kind of like, what level of support do you want in addition to the method is kind of, how it goes. So, so on the very practical side of things, in the method, it is energetics and frequency and magic, all the magical things. It is the what I call the mind success coding or rewiring. So that's where we go in and we discover what those spells are. I like to say we have two kinds of spells. There's the spells that we're under and the spells that we cast. And so the spells that we're under, again, a lot of times we don't even know we're under those spells. And so it's so valuable to have somebody come in and be like, "Ooh, did you notice that little thing you said there?" Because that is a spell that you're under. And then we can go to the spells that we cast, which is my favorite part. And that is where we get into the real work. To me, is the subconscious spell casting. And that is what you're talking about, where we're kind of pairing hypnosis along with implanting what it is that we want to be doing in the world, how we want to be experiencing the world. And then the sort of third and final pillar is really implementing social selling strategy. And that is everything from our offers, all of the offers that we have on the back end and how they kind of work together to best suit our ideal person, and then bringing that out into the world to be seen and to be heard and by the people who actually need us. So it's really all of those pieces working together. To me, that's where I say that's where the magic happens. That's where business magic happens.
Yeah, and all three are so needed. And you do this work so beautifully. You bringing all these three pieces together. Like even if I have some of the back end, like the energetics and the spell like that I'm more aware of, for me, the biggest missing piece for me was the social strategies. Like how do I implement? I have all these ideas. How do I bring them out into the open so I can do the work I'm here to do?
Yes, exactly. And that's the whole thing is like you already know what you're meant to be doing. And it's really just a next level of being seen, being heard, and finding and putting it in front of the people who you know that you're meant to serve. And really the thing that you like, I like to call it that sacred contract. You've been contracted to do some work here, and it's just allowing yourself to you and you know, everybody else too. I imagine everybody listening to this podcast at least is aware on some level that they have something to do on the planet. And so it's really about coming into contact with what that is and then putting it in front of as many people as possible. And to me, if you do that, and then you have the energetic aligned piece where you just day in and day out show up and do what you do, well, that's where the universe then steps in to go, all right, I'm going to meet you here and move the pieces around that need to be moved so that you can be found, so that the right people will find you. But it's not one or the other. It's let me actually put the offers out there in a way that people want to hear it and make sure that I'm, you know, speaking this into existence and aligning the energy too.
Yeah. And that's what I've also noticed, like every time I'm up leveling to the next level of this next social strategy of implementing it, I still have to work on the energetics behind it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You move one piece in the front and then you have to move the other pieces to the front line as well.
So yeah, brilliant. Exactly. And I think that's maybe where a lot of people kind of struggle is one is sort of always in front of the other. And even I would say, even I have to watch that in myself and the way that I really do things in the world, because for me, I know about myself. I have a little bit more of, I'm like all fire. So I have a little more of that masculine drive energy. Like I love to be doing things. And so I have to watch that I don't get out of alignment or out of harmony. I don't even like the word balance, but like out of harmony with the energetics, with the magical part of it. Because to me, when you do that, you're essentially leaving the universe out of it. And then and it's like, well, hold on a minute. You're just out here doing all this stuff. And the universe is like, okay, I guess you got it. But if you involve the universe, if you're always looking and looking for ways to incorporate the energetic, the magical side, incorporate the universe, then it's a co-creation and it's so much simpler. And I feel like, again, it's like sometimes it's one or the other, because that's the other thing is I've noticed with some people, not you at all, you're always on it. But some people will say, oh, well, I'll just be in meditation, or I'll just, sit and manifest, or I'll just, intend. And then they don't do any action. They don't do anything again, or they're doing I'll just say the inefficient action that doesn't really, again, it's not the most collaborative way to work with the universe. But if we can kind of like always be combining and working together, then it's always a beautiful co-creation. And that requires the thing that none of us want to do, which is surrender. Right?
Oh,
I don't want to surrender.
no, I always want to be in the driver's seat, right?
Yes, because if I'm in the driver's seat, then I get to fool myself into thinking I have some control over where things are going, when really I don't, because it's all programmed anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
I should just really just shut it and sit back, do my work, obviously do my work, but allow the universe to co-create with me. Then I'm not forcing things into place. Then I get to just sit back and take a deep breath. Again, I'm still taking the actions, I'm still moving forward, but I'm allowing the universe to come alongside me and we get to do it together.
I love that. Yes, that is something you're so brilliant in bringing to your clients. Like I've seen you do this over and over again because I've had the privilege of witnessing you doing work with other people too. It is just so amazing. So amazing watching you do this. I do want to ask you, how did you come to doing this work?
Oh, that's a really good question. It's also a very long answer, so I'm trying to figure out how do I
The long answer,
shorten
there's
it?
a reason I also asked this, because a lot of times what I notice with entrepreneurs, or at least people in the beginning phases of doing this work, they feel like they should have arrived.
Oh,
Right. And I know your journey, but I want to highlight, like, this is a journey. Like you came to this through lots of
hmm.
like meandering and like trial and error, and like and that is something you also show me a
Hmm.
lot of times, like just do it and test it. We don't know if this is going to land, but we're going to test it. If it lands, we will amplify it. If it doesn't, we'll do something else. Like you've really nailed it in my head. So I'm no
Hmm.
longer afraid of testing, but I want to share with like how you came to do, you're brilliant at what you do.
Thank you.
I need to shut up. I need to let you talk.
No, no, keep going. No, I'm kidding. Um, okay, so yeah, it has been a journey. And it's interesting because I think that one of the things that used to frustrate me actually was that I felt like I should, because of what I know, because of the way I move through the world, I'm like, I should be further along than I am right now. I said that for years, which again, let's look at that language and that spell that I'm under. And one of the ways that I sort of reframed that for myself was to really just say, you know what? I'm actually glad that because I feel like it took me longer to get it. It took me longer to get where I am. It took me longer to really like for things to click. And I would look at other people having these just like really quick successes. And I would just be like, what the heck am I doing wrong? Like I'm doing everything right. I'm putting all the pieces. I'm literally doing everything. And so two things. One, when I used to say that when I was in a different business, because I started in the beauty industry, one of the things that came to me was I wasn't in the right, to use your word, dharma. I wasn't on the right path. And so I had to, first of all, come to terms with, I was where I needed to be, and it taught me what I needed to be taught. But there came a time where I had to be really brave because it was scary, and really leave behind, a 12-year career and jump ship into something completely uncertain that was going a completely different direction, which is what I'm doing now. And that's terrifying, right? But so it was really getting clear for myself to say, I need to be honest that I'm not doing my dharma, that I'm not on the path I'm supposed to be on, and allow myself to jump there, even though it's scary. And then from that point, really things did kind of start happening more quickly. But there's always this part of me that I go back to that's like, you know what? The universe, for me specifically, this isn't for everybody, for me specifically, the universe is saying to me, I've always had this sort of feeling that it's supposed to take me longer. It's going to take me the time that it takes me, because I get to share that. I get to now look back and say, oh, it's taking you a long time, or you feel like it is. Well, guess what? It took me longer. I'm kidding. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it took me a long time too. And there was a lot of learning that happened. And so always, to me, the thing, if you're feeling that right now, like maybe somebody listening to this is feeling like, yeah, I should be further along than I am, to really kind of stop and check in with yourself to go, one, even saying that holds you in that spot, unfortunately. So how can you let it go? Well, the way that you can let it go is to say, no, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, learning the exact thing that I am supposed to learn, so that one day I can also then share that with somebody else. It's going to now be part of my story. It's going to be part of how I serve the world, because it wasn't easy for me. So I get to just constantly come back to that.
I am so glad you're talking about that, because a lot of people are in that place. I
Yeah.
should be further along. I should be further along. And they don't see the beauty of where they are. And I've said that too to you, right? Like, because I'm doing all the things, I need to be further along. Why am I not further along? But the further along also has no end.
Exactly. We're never going to be there or done with our work if we're really on path. There's always an unfolding. There's always a next level. And it's such a miss, and it's a missed opportunity to stop and give gratitude for where you are. I mean, and this is what I mean of some of that masculine energy is like, I want to be where I want to be yesterday would be better. Could we do it yesterday? Right?
One of the darkest parts of myself.
Yeah. I mean, me too, because I can go there and really wallow in that if I let myself. But it's like, no, I don't need to, because I know that, one, I've really come a pretty far way. And at the time of recording this, we're at the end of a year. So we're coming to kind of a close. And so I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to just stop, give gratitude for where you are, look back at the journey that you've had, because I promise you, if you are on any kind of path, you have made some progress. And to go, well, I haven't made the progress that I wanted to make. It's like, well, you're going in the wrong direction now. You're just sending yourself into a tailspin. But let's just stop and say, but you know what? Look at all the challenges I've overcome. Look at all of the unfolding that happened to get me here. And what if where you are right this second is exactly where you're supposed to be, so that you can go to whatever your next level is.
Oh my goodness. This is brilliant, brilliant. So what would be a place where someone can start with tuning into their own magic?
What a great question. So yeah, I saw this reel the other day, and it basically said that entrepreneurs had 3 things in common. And one of them was that they had a superiority complex. And the other was that they also were like plagued by self-doubt. And then the third was basically that they were just like consistent in what they were doing. And I thought that was really interesting. And the first one, he said, they think they're better than everybody else. And I was like, now he said they think they're better than everybody else and that they can do really great things in the world. And I was like, I do identify in the camp that thinks I can do really great things. I'm like that delusional that I can do like incredible, magical things in the world. Yes, check. But I actually believe everybody has that. And so I think the place to start is to recognize if you are somebody who has the audacity to live your dharma, right? Live out what you want to be doing in the world, then that also sort of comes with a double-edged sword of, we all have to face that shadow side where we have the doubt and the sort of, we'll call them the demons that come up that try to kind of derail us. And that's the fear and, all the doubt, all of those things. And so the place to start then would be to just have awareness that if you are someone who wants to do your work in the world, that you're also probably going to have self-doubt because you're a human being. And all human beings are going to experience that. Anybody doing big work in the world is going to experience that. So that's the first place, to just be aware that that's normal. That's right where you should be. And then really start to identify times in your life where you have shown to yourself how powerful you are, because we all have those as well. So even though we have some doubt, even though we have some fear, I can guarantee you every person listening to this has at least one time in their life where they intended for something, like they were going after it, and they manifested that thing, be it huge, little, or somewhere in between. And so just, if you can like stop and take stock of those times, even like start a little, note section of your phone or Google Doc where you're like documenting these things, like, I cannot believe I did that thing. Right. And then start to embody that energy, and embody that energy even in places where you notice some doubt coming up or some fear coming up. And if you can sort of move through the world with that energy and allow it to, in some sort of way, break that spell that you're under, well, now the spells that you cast are going to be so much more potent and powerful. And that is going to continue to show you how magical you are. How's that?
Wow.
How's that for a good place to start?
Wow, because I've experienced that with you.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking of that actually. Yes.
And I loved what you
Does
said.
it work?
Oh my God, it did. I shared a big win with you this morning. It does. It does when you do that kind of work, and it's like moving into that knowing, because you've already done it in other areas, which means you can pull that same energy into this.
Exactly. And I think we forget that. It's like, oh, in that area, it's okay. But with my money, for example, maybe it's supposed to be harder, or, this or that. And it's like, no. That's the whole thing with, I think it's such a unique thing to bring this work to business and money and all of that, because so many people have so many spells that they're under when it comes to what they're capable of in business and with money and all of those things, where it's like, then if they went over here and they were like, one little example is like, I wish I had a coffee that, from Starbucks today. And then what do you know, 10 minutes later, somebody brings you a coffee. You're the same amount of powerful over here with your money as you are with thinking, oh, I'd really love to have a coffee. It's just the same process. You just have to remove those spells that you're under in this area with money or business or whatever it is for you. But it's the same energy.
Yes. So I understand what it means to be under a spell.
Yeah.
Can you share with the audience what that means?
Sure.
And
So
how can they notice where they are under a spell?
Yeah. So again, there's the two types of spells, the spells you're under and the spells you cast. So that goes back to Florence Scovel Shinn, which I assume most of your audience is familiar with her work because she's amazing. But your word is your wand, right? And so that is a double-edged wand, not a double-edged sword, a double-edged wand, where your word is your wand, meaning whatever you cast with your word is going to be. And so if there are spells that you're under, those are the things that you have learned, the things that over time that society tells you, things like, patriarchal conditions and things like that, where it's like we do live under many laws of the universe, obviously, but there are certain places in most everyone's life where they feel like it's harder. And anytime you feel like it's harder and that's why I say business or money, because that's such a universal one where most people end up struggling. So if we can look at a very specific example, if you feel like money is hard for you to attract into your life, you're under a spell, plain and simple. And so if we can lift that spell, so to speak, break the spell, then when we cast a spell and when I say cast a spell, I do mean in some literal sense, you can do that. But I also mean a spell is literally just the words that you're saying and the way that you're moving through the world and how you're interacting and how you're feeling and thinking and what you're bringing to every aspect of your life. It can be, let me sit down and, get my ingredients. And, we love that. We love that. But it also is just getting in your car, and going somewhere and you curse at the person next to you for cutting you off. And that's, black magic. I think it was Don Miguel Ruiz who said that in his book. He talked about black magic, using your words for black magic. So it's really kind of this, again, this double-edged thing. There's areas where you're under a spell that maybe your family has said, or your culture, or just culture in general.
Yeah, the indoctrination.
Yeah.
It's so unconsciously done.
Correct. That we don't even know. We're not even aware sometimes, where we're still holding that at an unconscious level. That's why I say it's like a spell that you're under, because it very much feels like real.
Right. Yeah. And I love what you said about if it's harder, then you're under a spell.
Yeah. Yeah. You just check in. Is this an area of life that's really simple for me? Great. If not, let me check in and see where I still have some work to do. And we all have work to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And the whole purpose of making this conscious is so that you can let it go and cast a new spell for what you want your life to look like. Brilliant.
Yeah. And I also want to kind of put a caveat in here too, is like, I honestly just start with casting spells. I start with even, I know you have a visioning class coming up. Everybody listening right now, you need to sign up for that. Period. End of story. Because that is always where we start with spells. Okay. And with creating anything in our lives, is what is this vision? So start there. Start with the casting, start with the visioning, start with the creation, start with the manifesting. Only go to looking and digging into what spells I'm under if I keep coming up against a roadblock. If I keep coming up against, wow, this still feels kind of hard for me. Well, maybe let me dig through and see what I can unravel. Is there a spell at play here? Is there still something I need to kind of dig into? But always start with what you're manifesting and what you're creating, because let's not create an issue where there's no issue.
Right. Exactly. Like what you're saying is like, start with that. And then if there are things that are coming up, then work with it. You don't need to go searching.
Exactly. I'm not going to wait. My favorite word is efficient. And Padma, did you know that I actually saw in a human design thing yesterday that it was like manifesting generators are here for, like, it basically said efficiency. And I was like, yes, exactly. And because to me, I'm always looking for the most efficient way to do everything, the most efficient way to, as you know, like write a social post or, it's like one piece of content and we can, blast it out all these different ways. So whatever it is, I'm always looking for the most efficient and effective way. I'm not here to waste any energy doing stuff I don't have to do. And so this is a way we can do that, maximize that.
What was the book you were going to write?
Oh, the Lazy Girl's Guide to really anything in life, but business, marketing. I'm like, why did I do that business? The Lazy Girl's Guide to whatever. It just gets like all the series. Maybe I'll still do
it. Now that you've declared it, that's your spell casting. Now you have to write that book.
But it's funny because I don't necessarily call it that within my containers, but that's what it is. Like, let's find the laziest way to get the most amount of things done. Because I mean, to me, that's the like modern day version of being like a little fairy, just like doing my magic every, like doing a little spell and having the magic mop the floor for you. It's the same thing. It's like, what is going to be the most efficient?
And you really taught me that, because it's like I have being hard, making everything hard was like my middle name for a long time. I thought I came a long way.
And you did.
I know, but like you're making it even more easier. Like it's perfect. Like, because, for me as a projector, I need a lot of downtime. And you're like, no, let's reverse engineer. Let's see what is the life you want. And then we'll make that happen. I was like, oh my God, this is so brilliant.
That's what the business magic method is. It's just a reverse engineer process to the life and the business that you want to have, period.
It's amazing. I mean, your name comes up like 1,000 times every time I'm talking to my husband. I'm like, Sara told me this. Sara asked me to do this. And he's like, yeah, like.
I love it.
He's like, yes. And I'm okay. We won't go there. It's on podcast.
We'll speak that into existence in private.
Yes. So what would you like to tell the audience? Is there anything you want them to know about the work you do? Anything?
I think going back to what we talked about just a little bit ago, that it's what I feel like my dharma is helping as many people as I can to know their own magic, to come home to their own unique brilliance. I think we all have such creative genius within us to do whatever it is that we came here to do. And so if you're listening to this right now, you have that magic inside of you. And it's just all you got to do is remember it and get back in touch with it, and then put it out into the world. Let the universe meet you in whatever it is that you're doing. It doesn't have to be hard. It can be so easy, right?
Yes. Yes. Very, very easy. So can you share, and then I have one more question, but since we're on that thing, can you share, how can people find you and how can they start to work with you?
Yeah. So Instagram at Sara Drury, or my website is, saradrury.com.
Drury. I'm just spelling.
Yeah.
Drury.
Yes. And Sara with no H.
And I put in the show notes too, but it's Sara, SARADRURY.
Yes, thank you. Yes, that's it. And then I do have a couple things. One, I'm booking some like free calls in December and January to really look at your offers and see if they're scalable and able to streamline, and to see how you can kind of go to your next level. So we can map out like a whole outline of that. And then I also have a free class that really just walks through the whole business magic method. And that's on Instagram as well. So.
And you're also on TikTok.
Oh yeah. I love me some TikTok. So if you're a TikTok person, yes, I'm on TikTok, and there's a 1 after my name on TikTok, but anyway. Yes.
Okay. Beautiful. And so the last question I had for you is, you are also a mom. and you
Yeah.
run a very successful business. Can you share because a lot of the people who follow this podcast are also parents.
Mm.
So any words of wisdom on creating more harmony in your life, being a parent and a business owner?
I love that. So it's interesting. I'll try to keep this brief, but I really feel like, and I've shared this story, I've shared it quite a bit, but just in case people don't know, there were several years back, my husband was let go from his job, which was really the catalyst that sort of pushed me into my own next level. And when that happened, it sort of allowed us to structure our life. Again, this reverse engineer process. So we could structure our life without what I like to call, specific gender roles. So for example, my husband does the cooking. Almost all of it. I do cook on weekends, but he does most all of the cooking. He does quite a bit of cleaning. We don't share really specific gender roles. We're partners and we do what needs to be done. And to me, I feel like as we are going into the holidays, I hear a lot of women talking about having to do extra things and having to take on more housework type of labor. I don't even do that. I'm like, that doesn't apply to me because I'm not going to do it. No, thank you.
I don't want to do it.
I don't want to do it. And so I think part of it is having those conversations, if you have a partner, with your partner, to really be honest about where you need help. And because I always look at it's efficiency, where I'm going to get the most return on investment. Well, I'm going to get more return on investment helping my clients, doing my work in the world, than I am cooking and cleaning. So, and I don't enjoy cooking and cleaning. If I enjoyed it, that might be a different story. But to me, creating the harmony is really, again, a reverse engineer process about what I like to do, what I love to do, what I want to do. And then also having those really open conversations with your partner. My partner has come in to say, go work, go do your thing. And I'm like, awesome. And he's like, and he loves to cook. So it works for us. So things like that really allow yourself to ask for what you need, and don't feel obligated just because it's in your gender role that you have to do anything specific. So those are my thoughts on that.
I love it. I love it because again, it's like spells, right? Like you get to create your own life the way you want it. And so much of it is indoctrination of how it is supposed to be.
Exactly. I throw all of that out the window. And I'm sure there's still areas of my life where I could even go deeper with that. But I really throw it all out the window and say, what do I want to do? How do I want to spend my time? What feels good to me? Let's put things in place and systems in place to make that happen.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like in our home, we do the same, but I love to cook. So
you posted something on Instagram a few weeks ago. I've been meaning to tell you this, where it was like smashed potatoes with like garlic. I tried to make them. It was total fail. I should have taken a picture and sent it to you. And this is what I mean. I'm like, the last couple of times I've cooked, I like lit things on fire. I'm a mess in the kitchen. Yes, I can run a business and I can do all that, but like, don't put me in the kitchen.
Things on fire. You're bringing your witchy poo-ness into I love it. Like it's cracking me up imagining you setting things on fire in the kitchen.
Burn myself. I mean, it's a disaster.
That's amazing. We can be like, yes, I lit things on fire. Now I can cast a spell. The power of fire. No, okay. All right. Well, I'll stop with that. Yes, I love to cook. So I'll cook for you anytime.
Oh, I mean, I'm coming over very soon. It's happening in this next year. And I fully will accept your cooking.
Yes. Last night I made some amazing lamb curry. It was so delicious.
Oh my God. And I love to eat now. This is the thing. Don't love to cook, but I love to eat.
Okay. I will stop.
I digress though.
No. I mean, like, I'm digressing. I'm like, lamb curry, like, really, it's a podcast. Like, but this also shows, like, how much, like, how amazing our chemistry and our relationship is. This works so well for me because as a projector, I'm like, ask me to do all these detail work. I'm like, what? I have no idea how to do it, but you have really shown me the direction. I'm like, okay, this is what I need.
I love that. And I love you. Like, this is the thing. I feel so lucky and blessed to get to do what I do and have like, are you kidding that I get to spend time with you every week? Like, what an honor. No, it's me who is honored.
We can start a mutual admiration society.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I love it. Love it. Is there any final word for the audience before we wrap up?
The final word is to go do your magic in the world. Don't let those doubts and fears get in the way of what you're supposed to do, because you came here to do something. You did. You wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be listening to this podcast if you didn't. So do whatever it takes to do that work in the world. That's it.
Amazing. I'll put everything in the show notes where they can find you. And please, if you have a business, hire Sara. Yes. Let's cast a spell. Hire Sara. Hire Sara spell. No, I'm not joking. I really, like, you brought so much life into my business. Like, into basically, what is a business? It's like doing the work in the world that I'm here to do. And you've helped me really step up into my dharma. So thank you.
Well, that's my dharma, is to help you do your dharma.
Oh, love it. Thank you so much, Sara, for your time and wisdom and knowledge.
Having me, such an honor.